안녕하세요. 아이엔지 Language Lab Michael 벤입니다. Hey guys, this is Michael Ben from ING Language Lab. Today we are going to be studying the past simple tense form. 오늘은 과거시제 공부하겠습니다. After you watch the video, if you leave 3 sentences below using the past simple form, I'll check them and provide corrections if need be. 동영상 본 후에 아래에 문장 3개 처음 주시면 제가 확인하고 첨삭해드리겠습니다. 그럼 공부 시작합니다.
Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at some words and put them in the past tense form. So for these first group of words, it's actually going to be quite easy. We're just going to add ed to the end of the word, and that will make it into its past tense version. So walk, we add ed, and walk becomes walked. Similarly, we add an ed to talk, and talk becomes talked. Like, we're not going to add another e because an e is already there, so it's not going to be like this, because this would be like keyed. When we have an e at the end of the word, we're just going to go ahead and add a d. So we're not going to add an ed, we're just going to add a single d there. So liked, as in I hope you liked this video. And this next word we have here is subscribe, and we're just going to rewrite that and add a d at the end because subscribe has an e there already, so it's not going to be like subscribed. It's going to be subscribe. We're just going to add a d there, and subscribed as in I hope you have subscribed to this channel. Now, unfortunately, the past tense is a little bit more difficult than simply adding an ed to each word. I wish it was easy, but unfortunately, it's not. In English, we have these things called irregular verbs. So unfortunately, when we change an irregular verb to the past tense, it's going to take on a completely different form altogether. So eat does not become eated. Eat actually becomes ate. Drink, we cannot just add an ed. Drinked, it's not drinked. Drink actually becomes drank. Drank is the past tense form of drink. Say becomes said. Make becomes made. See becomes saw. And go becomes went. Now, again, I wish English was easy to say every verb there is just add an ed to make it into past tense. I wish I could say that. However, we have these things called irregular verbs. Now, these are not all of the irregular verbs in English. There are many more. These are just a few common irregular verbs. And the thing is that, unfortunately, there's no rule to it. You're just going to have to know which verbs are irregular or not. And then if it is an irregular verb, you're just going to have to memorize what the past tense version of that verb is. So eat, again, eat is ate, drink is drank, say is said, make is made, see is saw, and go is went. Unfortunately, unlike Korea, there is no one rule for all verbs. Now, past tense is still, we're adding more rules here. So, and this has to do with verbs that end in y. So, when it comes to verbs that end in y, it actually depends what the letter next to y is. These all happen to be r. And down here we have some, we got the answer right there. These verbs down here, they end next to, this is an A, this is A, it's an A. So the rule does not have to do with anything with R and A. The rule actually has to do with something called a vowel and a consonant. So a vowel, or moum, is vowels are the letters A, E, I, O, and U, and consonants are every other letter in the alphabet. So A through Z minus A, E, I, O, and U. So if the verb that the last letter is a Y, if the second to last letter is a consonant or a jaum, that means what we're going to do is we're going to change the Y to an I and add ed. So watch what we do here. So we have CARR. Now instead of Y, we are going to add an I. And then we're going to add an ed after that. So CARRIED means carry becomes carried. Now for this next one, it's another word, try. It ends in a Y. However, the second to last letter is not a vowel. It's not an A. It's not an I. Or it's not an E. It's not an I. It's not an O. It's not a U. So here, what we're going to do again, we're going to turn this Y to I and add ed. So TRIED becomes tried. This next word we have here is hurry. We're going to change, again, HURR. We're going to change that Y to an I and add ed. So hurry becomes hurried. And then finally, worry. WOR, second to last letter. The letter next to the Y is a consonant, so we are going to change that Y to an I and add ed. So worry becomes worried. Now, what do we do when the letter next to the Y is a vowel? If it's an A, E, I, O, or U, this is quite simple. We follow the traditional rules, the basic rules for past tense. We're just going to add an ed. Everything else is going to stay the same. So stay becomes stayed. As you saw earlier, play becomes played. And delay becomes delayed. So here we have our 4 categories of rules. The first category is just the regular add an ed to the end of the word to make it into past tense. And of course, if there's already an E, we don't need to add another E. We just add a D. So liked and subscribe only has one E. And then we have our irregular verbs, which unfortunately, again, you're just going to have to memorize which verbs are irregular and then learn the past tense version. So that is probably the most difficult thing to do here. Next are words that end in Y, and then if the letter next to the Y is a consonant, then we change the Y to an I and add ed. And then our 4th category of verbs that end in a Y, and if the letter next to the Y is a vowel, then we just keep the Y and add ed. And at first, you're probably going to be checking each letter next to the Y to see what ends or what that letter is. However, after time, then naturally you're just going to know how to spell it through memorization, and you won't have to think each time, okay, here's a Y, what's the letter next to the Y? Oh, this is a vowel. Okay, so we're just going to keep the Y and add the ed. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a consonant. We're going to change that Y to an I and add an ed. After a while, you will just naturally memorize the words, so it will not be an issue. Now, here we have our schedule that was from the present simple form, and if you want to watch that video again for review, you can go ahead and click in the top right corner. There should be a link to click that video if you want to review those words. Review that grammar point, I should say. So what I did is I went ahead and I took those sentences and turned them into the past tense. And real quick together, we are going to be translating these sentences into the past tense. So 저는 6시 일어났다. Normally, the present tense is I wake up at 6 a.m. However, this wake is an irregular verb, so this is I woke up at 6 a.m. And of course, we don't know if it's 오전 or 오후, but let's just assume that it's 오전 because that you shouldn't be waking up at 6 p.m. That's a bit late. The next one we have is stretching 했다. Now here it's just I stretch. Here is just a basic verb, so we're gonna add just the ed, and it's just what do I do here? I stretch. Oh, that's right. It's a t there. stretch. That's a regular verb, so we're just gonna add an ed there. Next we have 양치하도 씻었다. So I brushed. So to brush, and that's a regular verb. So I brushed my teeth and showered. To shower, that's also a regular verb, so we're just going to add an ed on top of shower. So and showered. Next one we have is 아침 식사와 커피 먹었다. So I remember eat is an irregular verb, so we're going to change that to ate. I ate breakfast. And if you remember from our first video, we cannot eat coffee. We cannot eat liquid or drinks. We can only eat food, so we can drink drinks. That's easy to remember. Drink drinks. Coffee is a drink. However, drink is an irregular verb, so we're going to go ahead and use that irregular form, and that is I ate breakfast and drank coffee. Oh, two E's. I drank coffee. Next, we have the original form of the sentence, the present form, present simple, which is I go to work by bus at 8. So here, go, that's an irregular verb, so went. So I went to work by bus, not by, is by bus at 8 a.m. So go is an irregular, so we use went. The next one, 9시에 일 시작했다. I start is a regular verb, so I started work at 9 a.m. Next we have 12시에 점심 식사했다. Here we go, another I eat, so I ate lunch at 12 p.m. Remember that in the afternoon, noon is p.m., not a.m., so it goes 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then finally, get off work. We didn't talk about get, but that is also a irregular verb. So I got off work at 6 p.m. And I think actually in the previous video, the present simple, we didn't use get off work. We said finish work. Now finish is a regular verb, so I'll just write that sentence as well. So I finished work. Not finished. Finished work at 6 p.m. And there you have it. This is the past simple tense. Again, this is actually much harder than the present simple, and of course much harder than the past simple in Korean because we have so many rules here. So just keep these rules in mind while you're studying and do not be discouraged. It's going to take some time to get it right. However, if you continue to study hard, you will be able to master these words. So thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day.